just as a DJ, you can literally, take a fart. You can take your own fart sound and record it and then scratch with it. So, really, I don't do that, but I'm just saying, like, you really.
That's the tagline of the video right there. We're going to start it with that. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. This is another interview from Between the Waves Music Conference, btwmadison.com. If you're watching this right now, well, you missed it, but you can come next year. Check it out, btwmadison.com. And of course, all of the interviews, just like all the ones you've seen already, are going to be uncut on our Patreon, patreon.com/Lords of the Trident. So if you want the full interviews with all of the wonderful, wonderful panelists here, if you want the uncut, unfiltered knowledge, go there, sign up for just $1. You get all these crazy interviews. And we have another wonderful special guest, DJ Bonics. DJ Bonics, tell us about yourself. Tell us what it's for the people who are not. who's not familiar with DJ Bonics?
There's a lot.
But let us know. What's your thing?
I like to call myself passion in action. I'm a DJ, originally from Philadelphia. Got my wings in Pittsburgh. I've done radio for about 20 years right now. I'm also a Red Bull 3 style DJ champion.
Wow.
I haven't won the U.S., but
okay.
I've won regionals, and I've made it to the U.S. finals a couple times, so it counts. I'm also the DJ for Wiz Kalifa.
Wow.
So I've been touring with Wiz for going on 10 years right now. So I currently do radio in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. I'm APD, the Assistant Program Director. I do a midday air shift from 10 to 3 every day. And, I've done radio from Pittsburgh to Philly to Portland to LA. I've done mix shows from Atlanta to Bermuda. I've been heard in Russia and all these other places. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've done a lot.
That's quite the sheet of accomplishments.
I'm still, crazy. I'm still a student in the game, so
yeah.
I'm not where I want to be. I need a couple more zeros in the account, and then I'll feel a little bit.
Tell me about how the Wiz Khalifa thing came about.
Wow, the short way I explain it is I was the best at what I was doing in the city, and he was the best. And I'm about almost 8 years older than him, so when he was bubbling as a 16-year-old underground rapper in Pittsburgh, I was already on the radio in Pittsburgh, but I was also a part of the music scene, so his producer, ID Labs, Edan, is one great friend of mine. Mm-hmm. He produced many Wiz Khalifa songs and mix and masters a lot of his albums. Mm-hmm. He's also a good friend of our guy, DJ Payne 1 as well. Mm-hmm. And
so at the time, you were kind of like the go-to guy.
Well, I was spending time with him in his basement studio at first.
Aha.
And so then he kind of leveled up and got his own studio in its own building, and I actually sold one of Edan's first beats. And Edan one day was like, "Man, there's this kid who's recording after school with a bunch of other kids, but he's just so much better than everyone. His name is Cam." And so we kind of took Cam under our wing, which ended up becoming Wiz Khalifa. And so, long story short, years later from that moment, I was doing my thing on the radio. Wiz was doing his thing. He had recorded Black and Yellow. He had signed to Atlantic Records, but no one knew both of those yet. And I was kind of fed up with radio at the time because I was on pop radio in Pittsburgh, and we were playing Derulo's and Britney Spears, and it was Lady Gaga era. And it just wasn't, it was great, but it was just, I was working for iHeartRadio. It was just kind of getting repetitive, and it wasn't really a passion play. And, I've helped Wiz book some shows, and we knew, we obviously were friends. I was getting him in the clubs when he was underage. And then at some point they were like, "Hey, we're going on our first U.S. tour, over 30, 40 dates. Would you like to join us?" So I had to quit my full-time job, music director, afternoon jock, salary, benefits, and I took a chance, and I quit my job.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to some friends about it, and some people were like, "Wiz who?" And my sister had said something, risk big, reward big. And so I was like, quit my job. And then I had one of the greatest years of my career after that. Was on all the late night shows, Letterman.
You went to Russia and were on Lennon?
Yeah. And, just from between then and now, man, I've been on Saturday Night Live to South America to South Africa, everywhere with Wiz Khalifa, every show. Kimmel, Fallon, the whole nine. So it's been quite an adventure.
That must have been that moment. I imagine it was a couple of weeks where you were back and forth about, should I quit my job? Should I do this?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That must have been so mentally taxing.
I mean, it really was, because a lot of people, a goal for them could be, hey, I'm in Pittsburgh, Market 23 as a music director and afternoon jock, and I'm number one. And why would anyone want to leave that? But, really it's about leaving your comfort zone. And when there's a voice inside your head, there's a voice in your gut, and you kind of just have to follow that. So it's been very rewarding. And, I was a bedroom DJ, and I had this thought as a student in the University of Pittsburgh, like, one day I want to tour the world doing this. And just to have that manifest it's still unbelievable. It's still unbelievable. And even 10 years on the road with Wiz, it's still a pleasure to hit the Coachella stage this year twice, and to be in front of that many people, and to really just impact a community in radio and impact the world through Taylor Gang, which is Wiz Khalifa's crew, and DJing. So, man, it's a dream come true.
That's amazing. That's so cool. So, I mean, I probably know what your answer is going to be to this next question, just from your experience and from your talking. But
Right.
I've heard some people say that now is the worst time to be a musician, and some people say now's the best time
Right.
to be a musician, just with the state of the industry.
Right.
So, what's your take on that?
I mean, the answer to really that is what brings you joy. If the music brings you joy, then it's always the right time. You know what I mean? Look, I had a hip hop group when I was in college, and trust me, if Instagram and even Facebook or whatever was around during that time, maybe I would have been touring with my own hip hop group. So that's a tough question. I think it's a great time to be a musician, because there's so many ways to become self-employed or to promote yourself. But, with that access to the world, I think people forget that impacting your own community is actually, whether it's now or then, like, that's the real key to having a successful music career.
So, as somebody who's, toured around, been in the industry for a long time, right? A lot of different stages. If you could take out your magic wand and just erase something, anything, from the music industry, the live show, anything in general, just anything related to music.
So if I could erase something in the industry, like, give me an example. Like,
like you say, I hate how labels, own 50% of my income. Or I hate the fact that all of my DJ shows start at 1 a.m.
Right.
I'm an old man and I don't want to do it anymore. If there's one thing you could just make different or erase, what would it be?
That's a tough question. You know what I would like to make difference is the appreciation for live music. A lot of these artists, and I'll specifically talk hip hop. These guys are rapping over their own lyrics. They're doing arena shows with RCA outputs off of a controller. I wish that the audience would appreciate the musicianship. Just by chance, not to make this timed out, but last night I was in Madison. I'm in Madison right now, and I kept hearing it from the hotel and walking around that Paul McCartney was in town. And so I just spontaneously went on StubHub, bought myself a ticket, and just seeing people appreciate musicianship and the art of the live show, man. I really wish I could change. I wish young people could really appreciate live music the way, I think the way that the people before us did.
Our forefathers.
Like festivals right now are all like a lot of, it's really like drug and more hype beastie type things. Like, I wish people would go and be like, yo, we're here to receive this live energy. I mean, people playing instruments is divine. But watching a DJ and a rapper just kind of rap over his lyrics is like cheating the audience out, and I think the audience doesn't know the difference anymore. So just that kind of respect for live music, I wish I could change. Really respect musicians, and I really respect people who kind of want to approach a live show more than make it easy for themselves.
Sure.
I don't know if that.
No, that's perfect. And you may have just answered this question, but as someone who's seen a lot of bands, a lot of live acts, a lot of rappers and hip hop and DJ and all that sort of stuff, right? As a person who's and had people open for you and stuff like that, what is something that you see a lot of newer or maybe less experienced acts, bands, etc.? What is something that you see them doing wrong live that you'd caution them to change?
Well, before we even get to the show part, I just see them trying to act globally too fast. Like I really think, again, like it's nice that you want to push your demo to like the top, but it's about impacting the people in your community. It's about engaging with the culture that is in your city before it's just like, hey, let me just try to get on the biggest stage possible faster. So I mean, if I were to say live though, more specifically, I mean, I really think I like when artists, when they say the name of the city, when they address the crowd, when you build a connection with that, rather than just getting up on stage and being like, I'm just gonna play music. Like, I really wish more artists would understand that, you're build a relationship with your audience. If you're an up-and-coming band, after the show, be out there by the merch table and shake hands. So it's really about impact and build relationships. I think that some of these guys want fame way too fast, and the faster they come, the faster they go. So it's really about, enjoy the process.
That's a great quote. It's like to think about the faster you come, the faster you go. That's really interesting. Is there something in the industry, be it music or business, that you think every artist, every band, every musician should have experience DIYing at least once?
I mean, introducing yourself. I think that's one thing that people forget these days is a lot of artists will just say, yo, hey, man, you listen to my music? Or someone will come up to me and walk up on the street because they recognize me and be like, yo, how can I get your music? How can I get you to play my music? And the first thing I always say to them is, well, you got to introduce yourself first. Or someone on Twitter will passively be like, yo, I wonder if I could get DJ Bonics to do this. And then I'll say, are you asking me or are you just putting it out there? So I just think that DIY is, introduce yourself. Sometimes artists are quirky and like are on stage, they're fearless. In person, they might be a little bit meek, but that's something that you gotta do it yourself, is like to get over that, because there's something about if you watch Wiz's young career, he's at these meet and greets where there's nobody there. He's at a pool where there's 10 people and he's performing, but he's out there shaking their hand, and that really makes a difference. Is like, you could tweet this or you could push it on Facebook, but go ahead and put it in someone's hand. And that's what you should do yourself, is market yourself in a way where it's impacting, you're making memorable interactions with your listener and with the community. That to me is something that they got to do it themselves.
So I want to change gears and go to the internet, go to social media.
Yep.
I'm wondering how you feel about the current state of bands, artists, musicians being overly accessible. And what I mean by that is, like, back in the 80s, 90s, before the internet, right? Bands sort of held a certain mystique. You couldn't really find out what they were having for breakfast, But nowadays, if there's a band I like, I could probably chat their Facebook page and they might respond to me.
I mean, you could probably buy the bowl that they ate breakfast in on eBay.
Exactly.
Right after that, right?
So what is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
I mean, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Listen, some fans like the engagement. Some artists do the mystery well. Some artists are too mysterious that people, because there's so much coming in, that they're just gonna forget about it. And this, I could be wrong about this, but like an artist like Lil Uzi Vert or Young Thug, they've avoided so much interviews and they've not showed up to shows, and they haven't, that people are just gonna end up moving on if they don't find a way to connect with them.
Right.
So yes, is there a TMI situation? Yes. But really it's just about a balance of what you want people to see, because some people love that. Some people have, like Wiz, I would say, made his career on having TMI, you know, like being like, this is how I roll my joint, this is what I'm doing, you know. But there was also the reverse where you could just kind of be sick of, not sick of, but like, all right, I get what you do, and so that it just all depends on the artist.
Have you ever found anything weird of like yourself, like for sale on eBay? Coming back to that, like.
No, not really. But the weirdest thing that I have is that someone actually hit me up on Twitter once and was like, hey, man, there's this, I don't even know what city was it, but it was in California. And he's like, hey, man, there's some guy out here DJing, and he's calling himself DJ Bonics, and he's saying he's Wiz Khalifa's DJ, and he's playing your drops and mixes and everything. And the same guy wrote, I can't knock his hustle, though. And I wrote back, like, how could you, what do you mean you can't knock his hustle? This dude is...
That's not hustle, that's
totally stealing, and you are co-signing it, you know? That's kind of weird, but, you know, at the same end, it's like, you know, what do they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery.
I suppose. Is there a, you know, you've interacted with so many different people, and you know, spoken at this conference and probably spoken at a bunch of different conferences, right? Is there a favorite tip, or maybe a tip of yours that you find giving to artists, to musicians over and over again, something that, you know, you think may be unique to your standpoint?
I mean, look, don't be afraid to build a legend. Nobody wants to read a book that says chapter 1 and he lived happily ever after. It's embrace the process and embrace the struggle. You cannot have bad without good. And if it was easy, everyone would be sitting in this chair being interviewed.
Right.
You know, so embrace that it's going to be hard. Embrace the fact that it's going to be a challenge. And I really think that, to me, is, that's the magic right there, is that, when I had to quit Wiz, or when I had to quit radio, go on tour with Wiz, it was like, sometimes you have to give to get. You know, sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to really get what you want. And I would never take a loss or a bad interaction, or something that happened to you negative. I would never take that as a sign that you shouldn't be there. I would always take it as a sign as you should. You know, because I remember, and this is a little personal, so after I quit my job, with my full-time radio job, to go on tour with Wiz, I had benefits and everything. After the tour, first major tour with Wiz, like, think about this. They were like, hey, do you want to go on tour with Wiz this fall? You're going to have to quit your job. You're going to have to, let go of your benefits. Wiz came out with Black and Yellow. We toured the whole country, including the Orpheum here right down the street 10 years ago in Madison. Right after that tour, I had a heart attack.
Wow.
And not to really get into too many details about how that even came to be, I remember I was in the hospital for 3 days, and basically the next day out of the hospital was our first live TV performance on BET.
Wow.
And they were like, Bonics, do you want to do this? Like, you just had a fucking heart attack.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. And people hit me up and were like, dude, are you crazy? Why?
Please tell me they brought you out in like a stretcher or a hospital
No,
bed.
it wasn't even like that. And I was like, because most people would use that as an excuse not to show up.
Yeah, right.
That's my life. This is what I do. Why would I say no to something for something that I want to do? So I really think that, embracing those hardships and then after that happened, it was the greatest year of my career. From like I said earlier, just doing MTV, BET, Letterman, all the late night shows, and it's just like, you just get over that hump, man. It really is. After like something bad happens, only means good things are to come.
That's amazing. That's it. So I think that's the perfect spot to end. Okay. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, where all your links, let them know.
Yep.
You know.
Am I talking right over here?
Any one of them. You can talk to me, you can talk to them, you can,
Hey, so we're going to do this so it's cool. So my name is DJ Bonics at DJ Bonics, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, all that. DJBonics.com if you want to dig deep and try to find out what's been going on for the last 10 years. I'm also on the radio every single day in Minneapolis. Even when I'm on tour with Wiz Kalifa, I do my show from the road 10 to 3 at DJ Bonics. I'll also be on tour this summer with Wiz Khalifa, French Montana, Playboy Cardi on the Decent Exposure Tour starting July 7th, over 30 cities. So make sure you come find us. DJ Bonics on all social media. Reach out to me. Ty, I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you, DJ Bonics. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting on the Patreon, patreon.com/Swords of the Trident. If you want the entire uncut DJ Bonics interview, just drop $1 on that Patreon, patreon.com/Swords of the Trident. Not only will you get that, but you get tons more videos from this weekend and from all of the rest of the fun stuff that we do. And we will see you next interview. Woo, woo.